So first of all, as you can see, I have found my Blackmore Snide hat, which my dad brought me from Munich, Germany, and Blackmore once pointed at me in the crowd and said, "Nice hat." So it is good to still have it. But what's not that great to have is this official Blackmore Snide tab book, because they've incorrectly tabbed Under a Violet Moon. At least that is what I think, because the trick is it is recorded in the song is in the key of C minor. But I don't think Blackmore played it in this position as tabbed. And this doesn't make sense to me. But if you look at live recordings, video recordings, that is, you can clearly see that Blackmore is playing out of this D minor position. Therefore, my assumption is that on the original record, he tuned his guitar down a semitone. That way, this D position would have been a C minor. So I definitely recommend everyone to learn it in the D position. But it is still difficult. A lot more convenient this way, but it is still difficult because it is a fast song, and Blackmore, again, as you can see on the videos, plays it with a pick. It would be so much simpler finger picking. But it has a different sound with the plectrum. So this is how I think Blackmore plays it now. I'm not saying that I'm getting the licks, 100%. I try to listen to the original recording very closely, and there are some weird things going on. Maybe he's not always going. First of all, I think he picks. Maybe sometimes he. So maybe he's not, sliding up like this, but goes back to the A. I couldn't really decide, but the reason I'm making this video, first of all, to point this out, but also because I think it is a great exercise in triad inversions. So if we think about D minor, we can play a D minor here, open position. We can also play a D minor here, and we can also play, this is the A position, and the E position, your big bar chord, not the major but the minor. These are the three triad inversions that Blackmore plays within this song, and I think it is just a really good example how to find the scales between these positions, between the triad inversions, and how to tie them together. So the three inversions again, and you can join the open D string next to them, to give that D bass. 2 on the G, 3 on the B, 1 on the E string. Let me jump up here, 7 on the G, 6 on the B, and then 5 on the first string, E string. And then all 10 frets. Now the next thing that you need to know is which are the D notes in there. In the first case, I think it's simple, it's on the B string, and that's your D note. Then 7 on the G, that's again your D note. And then, because these are inversions, the third one has to be on the first string, 10th fret. That's your D as well. Now, what I would do from here is map out my natural minor scales starting from these D notes. This is again a D note, the octave of the open string. And then try looking for other ways, tying together the two different chips. So you're starting from this D and descending, or you can take this D and ascend. can even, you know, play this full A shape D minor chord. But of course you can mix the first and the second shape, so not going this way, but going so. This is the, you know, exercise I build around Under Violet Moon, and I think it is useful in any sort of minor soloing to know the shapes, because, you know, most of the Deep Purple and Rainbow songs are in a minor key or have a minor tonality. So, you know, minor pentatonic with natural minor scale, and these arpeggio shapes are definitely, you know, working, because I'm sure you know this arpeggio which Blackmore always plays. But let's come back to Under Violet Moon, and you know, there's this intro which I tabbed, so look at that, and then the verse basically down to C major, so basically just between D minor and C major, and then from C down to A minor, then B and C. These are majors. The B flat, that's a major too, because the major third is a D. We are in the key of D, so it has to be a D, not the minor, which would be D flat. But I don't think Blackmore plays them as full chords, or at least it makes more sense to me. Might be like this as well, I'm not really sure. And then we get to the chorus, which I played with a different rhythm, but it's basically D minor chord, G, so it's a G minor, therefore you're not using your index finger to fret the second fret, because that gives you a G major chord. You could, you know, put it down here to play a G minor, but on the acoustic, or at least on this one, I think these are too close to each other, so I don't really like the sound of that. So what I do is I jump over, I'm not playing, and in fact muting the A string with my middle finger. So just basically playing a G5, D minor, G5, to C, then D minor, G5, C, C, D minor, and then we come up, or I think is the best way to play it, and I think I even saw it on the videos that Blackmore plays this B flat to E sharp, D minor, G minor, D minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, but that can be played down here. So the tricky part is this change from this E position B flat chord to this C position E sharp chord. These are your E's, and then basically, you know, taking your C chord and putting it up there, but you need to swap your fingers to have your index finger standing for the nut down here. So the rhythm, I think, is that to me is easier to play in a closed position. But I think it sounds good with a band. If I'm playing this song alone, like I did in my playthrough, I wouldn't play this rhythm pattern, but it is something like this. So Blackmore has a lot of these muted sounds going on. And then the solo is for a little bit of a different progression, but it is really nice because it follows the chord. So it's basically starting out with the arpeggio of this E sharp, you know, adding a couple of, you know, scale notes. That's C. So, but then you're coming back not to the E sharp major, but to a D minor. Okay, so Blackmore does play the harmonic minor here because this is your D, this is your major 7th. That's an F. Arpeggio of same what you did with the C here. Jumping up to, you know, it can be F major or D minor. I look at it as D minor because we are in D minor, but F major is the parallel. C. Top of our C chord, just an octave. And some D minor scale before going into this, you know, inversion that we looked at in the beginning of this video. And then he's going for a lick that the Blackmore really often plays with Blackmore's Night, and it's out of your E chord shape, but this is a G chord. So basically playing the okay, so it wasn't necessarily a good idea to say G because it's a G minor as he's playing the minor scale, but not playing it through like this. Just place the 5th on the A string. And then getting again to this E sharp. I've been calling it E sharp for all this video, and this is in fact basically an F chord. that's alright, that's funny. But the point is, again, so G minor to F major. Going back down, this D minor shape, the scale based around this D minor chord. And then once again, but you're coming up here for a C major. And then again for a D minor resolving to your root. So that's kind of how it goes. And you know what I wanted to point out here is work out of the chord shapes. First of all, it is kind of an easy way to get into soloing, other than the, you know, just the minor pentatonic and just you know, natural minor. It is great to start out from chord shapes. In this case, we are also using major shapes, not just minor shapes that I showed you in the beginning. Because for the other chords, for the C for example, we are using other shapes, I mean major shapes. So you can figure them out easily based on what I showed you, and it's basically in the tab as well, just not necessarily spelled out like this. But you know, play around with adding scales into these chord shapes, because if you're just playing, it's a little bit basic, but mixing the two, I think, is an awesome way to solo. And you know, this whole song is one of the best examples from Blackmore that I can think of, and I can also kind of play. I think that about concludes the video. Probably I rambled on for a while again. This is not necessarily how a Skype lesson goes, because you know, in these videos I'm just sitting here and telling you stuff, and there's no interaction between the two of us. Or you know, I can't answer questions, I can jump over parts that you already know, I can point at things that I know that you don't know. So these are a little bit harder, and I don't have the time to sit down and write a full script, then memorize it, and then, you know, record the video. So I think it's very much apparent to everyone that these are off the cuff, improvised lessons right here. But again, the Skype lessons are way more focused. So if you're interested, we can look at any song. But I doubt that actually anyone is still here listening to this. So hopefully see you guys in the next video.